Welcome, dear listener, to a journey back in time. A time when mountains whispered secrets, seas carried ancient songs, and the skies trembled with destiny. This is a world of myth, a place where gods were not far off lights, but living powers shaping earth, sea, and heaven with every breath. At the center of our tale stands Zeus, a child hidden in shadows, a spark of hope cradled by nature itself, growing quietly under watchful eyes. He was born into an age of fear. Cronus, a mighty titan, ruled with power. He dreaded a prophecy that one child of his own would one day rise against him. To prevent change, Cronus held tight to control. His shadow stretched across the cosmos, heavy and unyielding. Yet fate cannot be locked away forever. In silence, destiny moved. A mother's courage, a prophecy whispered, a boy's quiet strength, all threads weaving into the storm to come. And so our story begins. Not with battle, not with thunder, but with a single heartbeat, the birth of Zeus, and the first flicker of a new dawn. Long ago, before the world found its shape, the air carried whispers of prophecy, and the seas rolled endlessly as if waiting for a great story to begin. Cronus, the Titan king, ruled with immense power. His presence was so vast it made the earth itself feel smaller, yet inside him lived a constant unease. He had heard a prophecy. One of his children would rise against him, strong enough to claim his throne. From that moment, fear never left his heart. To prevent this fate, Cronus acted with cold resolve. Each time Rhea bore a child, he swallowed them Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. The palace grew silent. No laughter of children, no promise of future. Rhea walked its halls in sorrow, her heart heavy with grief too deep to name. When she carried her sixth child, a new flame sparked inside her. She could not lose this one too. She vowed to protect the life growing within her. As the time of birth drew near, Rhea left Cronus's halls. She crossed land and sea until she reached Crete, where mountains and caves could hide her secret. There, in a quiet cave, Rhea gave birth to her son. She named him Zeus. At once, the air brightened, as though the universe welcomed his arrival. But joy came with urgency. Cronus would demand the child. Rhea prepared a clever deception to save her newborn and guard the promise of prophecy. She wrapped a stone in cloth, shaped carefully to resemble a baby. With steady courage, she placed it in Cronus's hands. Blinded by fear, Cronus swallowed the stone whole. He believed he had ended the threat, never suspecting the truth. His son was alive, hidden from his grasp. Meanwhile, Zeus lay safe in the cave of Crete. Nature itself became his guardian, wrapping him in care as gentle and eternal as the stars. Nymphs sang songs older than time to soothe him. Bees brought honey to his lips. The goat Amalthea nourished him with milk as if he were her own. High above, the Curetes clashed their bronze shields and danced, their thunderous rhythm drowning out the cries of the infant god. Zeus grew strong in secret. He learned from the rustle of leaves, the rush of rivers, and the steady glow of stars above his hidden cradle. His strength came slowly, like roots pushing deep into the earth, steady and unseen, until one day he would be ready to rise. This was the seed of change. A mother's courage, nature's care, and destiny's whisper gathered around a boy hidden in shadows. Cronus believed himself safe, but hope cannot be swallowed, prophecy cannot be silenced. In Crete's quiet cave, the future of gods was taking form. This was the birth of Zeus, the heartbeat that would one day thunder across the skies. The story of Zeus cannot be told without stepping first into the shadow of his father, Cronus, who held the world in his grasp long before the boy was born. Cronus was a Titan, son of Gaia and Uranus. From the earth he gained strength, from the heavens, vastness, and with this power he claimed the throne of the cosmos. At first, his reign promised stability. Seas followed their course. The sun rose and set. The earth bore fruit. Yet beneath this order, fear simmered quietly. For Cronus had heard a prophecy. One of his children would rise against him. He had overthrown his father before and dreaded the cycle repeating again. So Cronus acted not as a guardian, but as a jailer. Every child Rhea bore, he swallowed whole, believing he could imprison destiny within himself. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon each vanished into silence. Their voices and laughter never touched the palace halls. The future itself seemed swallowed. Imagine his golden palace, vast, echoing, yet empty. No footsteps of children, no voices of joy, only silence, heavy as stone. Rhea, their mother, grieved in silence. She had given life, only to lose it again and again. To oppose Cronus was peril, so she wore her sorrow quietly. Cronus's tyranny spread beyond family. Mortals and immortals alike felt the weight of his presence. Rivers flowed timidly. Even stars dimmed under his gaze. He believed silence would keep him safe. By swallowing his children, he thought his throne eternal. But in truth, he ruled over a kingdom of waiting. And yet, destiny moves even through cracks. Whispers spread. Not all was lost. Somewhere, hope remained. The prophecy could not be silenced. The Titans stood with Cronus, some out of fear, others out of habit. Few dared question him. Yet inside, many wondered how long fear could truly reign. For the earth grew restless beneath his feet. The sky rumbled with hidden thunder. And Rhea, though quiet, carried a spark of defiance in her heart. Cronus's reign was vast, fearful, and silent. A rule built on shadows and swallowed voices. But silence cannot last forever. The story of the gods had only begun. And soon, the halls of Cronus would echo not with silence, but with the sound of change. Every age carries whispers of what is to come. In the time of the Titans, those whispers were feared, for prophecy was nothing less than the voice of destiny itself. The prophecy haunting Cronus was not born suddenly. It came from Gaia, the Great Mother, and Uranus, the endless sky. One day, a child of Cronus would rise against him. This was no passing tale. It was etched in earth, carried in wind, mirrored in stars. Cronus might swallow his children, but he could never swallow fate itself, so the world held its breath. Each new birth became suspense. Would this child bring change? Would this be the one to challenge the throne of the Titan King? To Cronus, the prophecy was a curse. To others, it was a promise. Quietly, some hoped for a day when the weight of silence might finally break. The nymphs whispered of the hidden child. The stars blinked brighter, as if signaling destiny still lived. The earth rumbled, reminding all that time cannot be bound. Rhea carried the prophecy in her heart. At first, it was sorrow. But with Zeus hidden on Crete, the words became hope, the seed of release. For her, prophecy was not only overthrow, it meant freedom, her children restored, her world alive again. Her halls filled once more with laughter. Cronus denied it. He told himself he had silenced fate with every child he consumed. Yet unease crept upon him whenever he looked toward the horizon. For prophecy does not vanish. It echoes in rivers, in fire, in the cry of eagles. No ruler, however powerful, can escape the truth of destiny. This prophecy was not only of battle, it was the promise of change. A change that reshapes balance, born from a single heartbeat hidden in a cave. The stars charted new paths. Winds carried secrets over mountains and valleys. The universe itself seemed to prepare for the day of transformation. In Crete, Zeus grew under prophecy. The nymphs felt it in his laughter. The Curetes felt it in their rhythm, as though the cosmos itself kept the beat. Two worlds unfolded. In Cronus's palace, silence reigned. In Zeus's cave, hope stirred, growing brighter each day beneath destiny's careful watch. The prophecy promised that one child would rise, not only to face his father, but to free what had been bound in fear and silence. Cronus could not see it, but the future was already in motion. His shadow stretched far, but destiny stretched farther still. The storm was coming, Not with sudden thunder, but with a whisper, a prophecy carried across the world, waiting to be fulfilled. The world would not remain silent forever, and the name that would break the silence was Zeus. Far from Cronus, hidden deep within Crete, a secret story unfolded. This was the childhood of Zeus, the child destined to change the order of gods. The cave was no ordinary place. Springs glistened along its walls, and starlight slipped through the roof, as if the heavens themselves leaned close to watch the boy. Around him gathered guardians chosen not for power but devotion. The nymphs, Amalthea, Adrastea, and Ida cared for him as both child and promise. Amalthea, the gentle goat, gave him milk. From her horns flowed abundance, a blessing that followed Zeus forever. His laughter echoed, his cries quickly hushed. To hide those cries, the Curetes danced. Their shields clashed, their feet stamped, each sound masking the boy. The clang of metal became his lullaby of protection. Zeus grew, and with him, his spirit. His eyes carried sparks of heaven. His laughter lifted hearts. His play carried the rhythm of destiny pressing upon him. The nymphs taught him nature's rhythms. He listened to rivers, learned the silence of mountains, discovered the world alive with voices waiting to be heard. At night, stories filled the cave, tales of titans and skies before Cronus. Not bitterness, but wonder. Not anger, but curiosity for a freer world. The cave became his first kingdom. Streams of crystal water, sunlight kissing flowers, birds singing at the entrance, carrying songs of freedom from outside. Zeus's steps grew steady, his laughter bolder. Sometimes he reached toward the sky, stretching as though he knew it would one day be his realm. But secrecy was always near. The nymphs reminded him, remain hidden. For beyond the cave lay Cronus's watchful eyes, suspicious of silence. Still, hope flourished. Rhea dreamed of him. She prayed her son would stand free. She carried the prophecy, knowing her hidden child was destiny itself. Zeus bonded with nature. Eagles became his companions, storms his teachers. In thunder and lightning he felt a spark of kinship stirring within. The nymphs marveled. They did not push him, yet power grew around him as vines climbed trees. The boy was becoming the god he was meant to be, yet he was still a child. He played with water, chased butterflies, laughed so loud the Curetes clashed harder to keep him hidden. Joy lived beside destiny, and so he grew small in body, vast in spirit. His cave, his temple, the nymphs, his teachers, the earth, his first companion. The world beyond still trembled beneath Cronus. But in Crete, a spark turned to flame. The child of prophecy was preparing for his story. For now, Zeus was hidden, but destiny cannot stay hidden forever. Zeus grew in body and spirit. The cave in Crete felt smaller, as though it could no longer contain the destiny swelling inside him. The nymphs still cared for him. The Curetes still clashed their shields. But Zeus was no longer helpless. He was becoming aware of the world, of himself, of power, stirring in his blood. It began in small ways. His laughter brightened the cave, though no opening widened. His cries trembled the air, echoing like distant thunder rolling over mountains. One day by the stream, his reflection rippled, though the water was still. The surface shimmered, showing not only his face, but something greater waiting within. The nymphs whispered in awe. They felt it too. Zeus was no longer only their ward. He was becoming a force, one the world itself responded to. Adrastea told him, "The world speaks to you, child. Listen closely." And so he listened to rivers, to wind, to the silence of stones, to the hum of mountains. When he stretched his hand in joy, faint lightning flickered in the sky. When he stamped his foot in anger, thunder rolled and birds scattered into flight. The Curetes marveled, their dance louder, their shields harder. Every flash of light, every rumble of sound risked drawing the gaze of Cronus. But power is a river. It flows, and no hand can dam it forever. Zeus's strength grew daily, not from training, but from the very essence of his being. One night, the stars gleamed brighter. A silver fire spread across the heavens. Zeus lay awake, no longer small beneath them, but connected, part of their vast design. Dreams came to him. He saw himself holding lightning, the sky bending to his will. He saw a world where silence ended, where laughter and song filled the air. He awoke, certain. These were not mere dreams, but glimpses of what must be. Destiny was speaking, and he was learning to listen. The nymphs urged patience. The time will come, but not yet. Still, they could not deny the power growing in him with every passing day. Amalthea told him, "Your strength is not yours alone. It belongs to the world." And he remembered her words, holding them close in his heart. Zeus carried no hatred for Cronus, though he knew the fate of his siblings. His heart longed instead for freedom, for balance, for a chance to restore what was lost. Power did not make him cruel. It made him compassionate. He felt strength was not meant to crush, but to protect, not to silence, but to give voice. Each day he grew taller, his spirit stronger. The cave seemed smaller, the island too confined. His heart yearned for the sky that called to him. The Curetes felt it too. Their shields clashed harder, their dance louder, as though trying to hold back destiny itself. Yet they knew the day would come. Zeus was no longer only the hidden child. He was a flame rising, a storm forming, a power that no silence could contain. Though Cronus still ruled, far away and unaware, the balance was shifting. The world was no longer his alone. A new power had awakened. The awakening of Zeus was the first tremor of change, the heartbeat before the storm. Destiny never walks alone. Even a god must find companions to share his path. And as Zeus grew, others gathered. Drawn by the light of his rising power, Adrastea and Ida were his first allies. They cared for him, but they also taught him patience, kindness, and the rhythm of nature that would guide his rule. Amalthea gave him more than milk. From her horns flowed abundance. She showed Zeus that strength was not only force, it was the power to provide and to sustain. The Curetes kept their watch. Their clashing shields were not just noise, but loyalty made sound. To Zeus, they were brothers bound by trust and devotion. Beyond the cave, allies appeared in quiet forms. An eagle circled above, its wings spread wide. Zeus saw in it the freedom and command he longed to claim. Even rivers and trees whispered to him. They told of growth, of patience, of strength that comes slowly but cannot be denied. These were lessons he carried deep. Far away, Rhea, his mother, remained bound to Cronus. Yet her heart reached for him. Through prayer and love, she stood with him, though distance kept them apart. Whispers of prophecy reached Zeus as he grew. Others longed for change. Others believed that silence could not last forever. He was not alone in his destiny. His siblings, swallowed by Cronus, were still alive in spirit. In dreams he felt them voices faint but steady, urging him forward, reminding him why he must rise. Gaia too stirred quietly. She had seen kings fall and knew the weight of fate. In soil, in mountains, in rivers, her support wrapped around him unseen. One evening Zeus asked, "Will I face Cronus alone?" Adrastea answered gently, "No one stands alone. Even the sky rests upon the earth beneath it." Her words became a root in his heart. Strength was not only thunder, it was love, loyalty, and the bonds that turned a single flame into a rising fire. The boy who had been hidden was no longer a secret. Around him, allies gathered like stars circling a young sun, ready to shine when the time was right. Cronus still sat on his throne, unaware. But the truth was clear. Zeus was not one spark. He was the center of a growing blaze that would one day erupt. The allies of the young god were waiting. Their devotion gave him more than power. They gave him wholeness. They made his destiny possible. In the silence of Crete, Zeus learned this: no destiny is carried alone. Allies make the burden lighter. Allies turn sparks into storms. And his allies were already beside him, waiting for the day when the storm would break. In Crete's stillness, under stars and waves, whispers drifted toward the young god. They were not from nymphs or Curetes, but older, deeper, carried by the breath of the world. Prophecy. Zeus first felt it in dreams. Lying on the cave floor, visions came. He saw Cronus on his throne, his siblings trapped within, and himself crowned in lightning beneath the sky. When he awoke, the images clung like mist. They did not fade. They lingered, heavy with meaning, demanding to be remembered. Adrastea asked softly, "What troubles you, child?" Zeus had no words. He only felt the vast pressure of something beyond him, urging him toward an unknown future. The whispers grew stronger. They rode the wind, rustled in trees, and echoed in waves. Always the same message. Cronus's reign would end, and a new order would rise. At first, Zeus resisted. He was still young, and the weight felt too great. But prophecy cannot be silenced. It followed, it shaped, and slowly he began to listen. One night, he dreamed again. A storm raged above. In his hand was lightning. Before him, Cronus loomed like a mountain. Zeus raised the bolt, and the heavens obeyed. He woke with racing heart. The vision was certain. He was born not just to survive, but to challenge Cronus, and to free the world from silence. Fear touched him. He was one boy, hidden in a cave, raised by nymphs and guarded by dancers. How could he face the Titan who ruled the cosmos? Amalthea comforted him. Strength grows not in leaps, but in roots. A tree does not conquer the sky in a day. It grows steady until the heavens yield space. Her words calmed him. Prophecy was not a command for now. It was a promise. He did not need to be ready yet. He needed only to grow and prepare. Zeus listened closely. He sought wisdom in rivers, in the call of eagles, in the silence of mountains. Each rhythm was part of a song pointing to his fate. Sometimes he felt his siblings' presence, faint but real, as though calling from within Cronus. "Do not forget us. When the time comes, we will rise with you." The prophecy no longer terrified him. It steadied him. It reminded him that he was more than hidden, more than survival. He was part of something larger. The nymphs noticed the change. His eyes carried determination. The boy they had guarded was becoming a figure shaped by fate itself. Zeus was no longer just Rhea's hidden child. He was the chosen one of prophecy, the storm before the dawn. Cronus still sat in silence on his throne. But the whisper of prophecy was already shaking the ground beneath him. For when destiny stirs, even titans must listen. In the hidden corners of the world, Zeus searched for allies greater than mortals. Whispers spoke of beings locked away, feared for their power, the Cyclopes. Long ago, Cronus had cast them into Tartarus, fearing their might. They were smiths who shaped fire and metal into wonders, makers of tools fit for gods. Their forges once rang with music of creation, but Cronus silenced them. He feared their gifts could arm his enemies and bring his fall. Yet prophecy spoke true. The Cyclopes would not remain chained forever. When freed, they would forge gifts to shake the heavens themselves. Guided by Gaia, Zeus descended into the depths. The air grew heavy, thick with ash and heat, as though the earth itself breathed fire. Flames licked the walls. Behind iron gates, massive shadows stirred. From the dark, a voice rumbled, deep as stone. "Who comes here?" "I am Zeus," he answered, "son of Rhea, born to end Cronus's silence. I come not to bind, but to release." A single golden eye glowed. Chains clattered. "Release us," they said, "and we will forge gifts no titan can withstand." Zeus touched the locks. With strength and will, the gates broke. The Cyclopes stepped out, vast and powerful, their eyes burning like suns. Grateful, they led him to their forges. Sparks flew, fires roared, hammers struck metal. The earth trembled with the rhythm of creation. For days, they worked unceasingly, shaping gifts no hand had seen before. Each stroke of fire carried the promise of a new age. The first gift was for Zeus, the thunderbolt. Born of storm and fire, it was a shard of the sky's fury, able to command clouds and storms. The second gift was for Hades, a helm of invisibility. Forged of shadow and night, it gave its bearer the power to vanish. unseen even by gods. The third gift was for Poseidon, the trident. Three-pronged, gleaming, it carried the strength of the oceans, able to stir waves and shake the seas. These are not weapons of conquest, the Cyclops said. They are tools of balance. Together, they will shape a stronger order than before. Zeus held the thunderbolt. Sparks danced at his fingertips. For the first time, he felt the full weight of his destiny. He was the storm itself. The Cyclopes bowed. Use them wisely. Fire can build or destroy. The choice is yours. When Zeus left the forges, the skies seemed brighter, as though the heavens themselves knew what had been born beneath the earth. His allies were growing, his strength rising, and far away the chains of Cronus began to tremble. The path ahead was long. Prophecy spoke of struggle and battles yet to come. But the war of gods was no longer a dream, it was a promise. Carrying the thunderbolt, Zeus stepped forward, ready to meet the fate awaiting him. The skies no longer felt still. Clouds carried tension, as if they knew silence was ending. Rivers rushed faster, and winds moved with restless voices. Zeus held the thunderbolt of the Cyclopes. It was not only a weapon, but an extension of himself. Sparks ran through his veins, marking him as one destined to rule. But power alone was not enough. The time had come to gather allies, to unite those who longed for a new order. Cronus's shadow still loomed, heavy and silent. The first to answer were the nymphs. Adrastea and Ida, who had raised him, stood tall. "We have kept you safe," they said. "Now we will walk beside you." The Curetes, the armored dancers, pledged as well. "We struck our shields to hide you once. Now we will strike to announce your voice to the heavens." Then came whispers of giants, children of Gaia and sea foam. They had seen Cronus rule with fear. To Zeus, they offered strength, raw and untamed. Even the winds stirred at his call. From east came hope, from north clarity, from west and south came whispers of change. The world was eager. Zeus climbed peaks and called the eagles. They circled above, their cries echoing like omens. They became symbols of freedom, heralds of the storm. Not all came easily. Some feared Cronus's wrath, doubting if Zeus could truly rise. They remembered the Titan's power and hesitated. Zeus did not argue. He lifted the thunderbolt high. Lightning split the sky. "This is not only my strength," he said, "but the promise of a new dawn." Hesitations faded. Creatures of land, sea, and sky bowed to him. Nymphs, giants, winds, and eagles became threads in his vast army. Yet Zeus thought of his siblings. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon still swallowed by Cronus. In dreams their voices called, "We are with you, do not forget us." He swore he would not. Their freedom was at the heart of his cause. The gifts of the Cyclopes were for them as well, a promise of their return. Training began in hidden valleys, beneath waterfalls, in forests shielded from Cronus's eyes. Allies learned strength, resilience, and unity in secret. The Curetes beat their shields in rhythm. Giants taught raw force. Nymphs taught patience and survival. Together they shaped an army ready to rise. Zeus practiced with a thunderbolt. Each strike split the sky, echoing across mountains. He trained not to destroy, but to command with balance and harmony. The world trembled with anticipation. Rumors spread by birds, rivers, and winds. A storm is rising. A new king comes. Cronus felt unease upon his throne. Silence still ruled his halls, but the ground beneath him trembled faintly. Somewhere in the distance, thunder called. One evening, Zeus stood on a cliff. Allies gathered behind him. The winds brushed his face. The thunderbolt hummed softly in his hand. The storm had not yet broken, but it was near. This was the breath before thunder rolls, the moment before lightning strikes. And in that stillness, Zeus whispered, "The time of silence ends. The storm begins." The storm that had been gathering could no longer wait. The skies turned dark, heavy with thunder. The ground trembled as if the world itself knew change was near. Cronus sat upon his throne, wrapped in silence. But even he felt the weight of unease for the first time. His rule was no longer unchallenged. Beyond his reach, Zeus and his allies moved. It began not with a roar, but a whisper. The son of Rhea rises. The time of silence ends. The whisper grew into a murmur. The murmur became a cry. Soon the whole world hummed with anticipation. Cronus sent his servants, the lesser titans. They came with commands, cold and stern. Bow to Cronus. Keep silence, or be silenced. Zeus stood tall upon a mountain peak. In his hand, the thunderbolt shimmered with light. His voice cut through the winds. No more silence, no more chains. The world belongs to all, not to fear. The first clash came swiftly. The Titans advanced with force. Zeus's allies stood their ground with courage. The Curetes struck their shields in rhythm. Their echo carried through valleys like defiance. The nymphs called upon rivers and forests. Streams surged, and trees bent in unison. The giants lifted their arms, shaking mountains. Eagles soared, crying like trumpets above the clouds. The world itself seemed to rise with Zeus. The clash was fierce, though no blood fell. Storms met stone, rivers met fire. Winds tangled with shadows in the air. This was not destruction, but destiny unfolding. Zeus raised his thunderbolt high. Lightning leapt, striking the ground before the Titans. The sky lit up, brilliant and alive. For the first time, the Titans faltered, not from pain, but from the fear of change. They felt the storm's truth. The age of Cronus was breaking. Some Titans retreated, uncertain. Others pressed forward, unwilling to yield. But the allies of Zeus held strong. Step by step, they pushed back the tide. In the distance, Cyclopean hammers rang. They reminded Zeus of gifts waiting for his brothers. He fought not only for himself, he fought for those still trapped in Cronus's darkness. The heavens thundered louder. The storm Zeus carried now filled the skies. All could hear. The balance of power was shifting. The first clash ended without triumph or defeat, but a revelation echoed through the world. Cronus felt it. Silence was slipping from his grasp. Zeus felt it. His cause had truly begun. That night, allies gathered around a fire. The Curetes, the nymphs, the giants, the winds. They no longer saw a hidden child. They looked upon their leader. Zeus spoke softly, yet firmly. Today was not the end. It was the beginning. Cronus will not yield easily, but the storm is broken. We will not turn back. Above them, eagles circled the night sky. Their wings glowed in the firelight. The thunderbolt hummed at Zeus's side, alive, waiting, ready. The war of gods had begun, not with blood, but with unity and courage. The silence of Cronus was broken. The storm had spoken, and the world would never be the same. The storm that had been gathering could no longer wait. The skies turned dark, heavy with thunder. The ground trembled, as if the world itself knew change was near. Cronus sat upon his throne, wrapped in silence. But even he felt the weight of unease for the first time. His rule was no longer unchallenged. Beyond his reach, Zeus and his allies moved. It began not with a roar, but a whisper. The son of Rhea rises. The time of silence ends. The whisper grew into a murmur. The murmur became a cry. Soon the whole world hummed with anticipation. Cronus sent his servants, the lesser titans. They came with commands, cold and stern. Bow to Cronus. Keep silence or be silenced. Zeus stood tall upon a mountain peak. In his hand, the thunderbolt shimmered with light. His voice cut through the winds. No more silence, no more chains. The world belongs to all, not to fear. The first clash came swiftly. The Titans advanced with force. Zeus's allies stood their ground with courage. The Curetes struck their shields in rhythm. Their echo carried through valleys like defiance. The nymphs called upon rivers and forests. Streams surged, and trees bent in unison. The giants lifted their arms, shaking mountains. Eagles soared, crying like trumpets above the clouds. The world itself seemed to rise with Zeus. The clash was fierce, though no blood fell. Storms met stone, rivers met fire, winds tangled with shadows in the air. This was not destruction, but destiny unfolding. Zeus raised his thunderbolt high. Lightning leapt, striking the ground before the Titans. The sky lit up, brilliant and alive. For the first time, the Titans faltered, not from pain, but from the fear of change. They felt the storm's truth. The age of Cronus was breaking. Some Titans retreated, uncertain. Others pressed forward, unwilling to yield. But the allies of Zeus held strong. Step by step, they pushed back the tide. In the distance, Cyclopean hammers rang. They reminded Zeus of gifts waiting for his brothers. He fought not only for himself, he fought for those still trapped in Cronus's darkness. The heavens thundered louder. The storm Zeus carried now filled the skies. All could hear. The balance of power was shifting. The first clash ended without triumph or defeat. But a revelation echoed through the world. Cronus felt it. Silence was slipping from his grasp. Zeus felt it. His cause had truly begun. That night, allies gathered around a fire. The Curetes, the nymphs, the giants, the winds. They no longer saw a hidden child. They looked upon their leader. Zeus spoke softly, yet firmly. Today was not the end. It was the beginning. Cronus will not yield easily. But the storm is broken. We will not turn back. Above them, eagles circled the night sky. Their wings glowed in the firelight. The thunderbolt hummed at Zeus's side. Alive, waiting, ready. The war of gods had begun, not with blood, but with unity and courage. The silence of Cronus was broken. The storm had spoken, and the world would never be the same. The storm had raged, and the silence of Cronus had shattered. Now, upon the trembling world, a new light began to rise. It was not only dawn, but the birth of a new age. Zeus stood upon the mountain peak, thunderbolt in hand. His allies gathered around nymphs, Curetes, giants, winds, and eagles. They waited in silence, not with fear, but with hope. The earth grew calm. Rivers flowed with quiet strength. The forests whispered gently. Skies opened to the light. Cronus no longer sat as ruler unchallenged. His silence was broken, his power fading with time. But this was more than victory for Zeus. It was a promise of balance and freedom, a world where no single voice could silence all. Zeus lifted the thunderbolt high. The heavens answered with a flash of brilliance. The Curetes struck their shields in rhythm. Their sound echoed like a heartbeat across valleys. The nymphs sang, their voices flowing like rivers. They sang of renewal, healing, and hope. The giants stood proud, shadows tall against dawn. They had given strength. Now they witnessed change. Eagles soared, wings brushing against the morning sky. They carried the message. A new king had risen. Zeus spoke with calm and certainty. This is not my victory alone. It is ours. He vowed to free his swallowed siblings. No new order could rise without family. The Cyclopes watched from glowing forges. Their work was not finished. Their promise not complete. The winds carried his words across mountains and seas. Villages below felt the shift, though unseen. Cronus, fading, looked upon Zeus with fear and recognition. The old order was passing. The new one had come. Zeus did not gloat, nor curse the Titan. His eyes turned upward, toward the heavens above. The mountain became Olympus, home of the gods. A throne of thunder, a seat of balance. Zeus declared his purpose upon Olympus. He would rule with voice, not silence. He would bind with choice, not chains. The earth listened, the seas listened, even the stars listened. For in his words lay truth. Fear had ended. The age of harmony had begun. Dawn broke, golden light spilling across the land. Rivers sparkled, forests swayed, mountains crowned with clouds. Allies bowed their heads in respect, not submission. They had risen together and would build together. Zeus set the thunderbolt beside him. It was no longer just a weapon. It was a symbol of justice, strength, and renewal. The war of gods ended not in ruin, but renewal, not with despair, but with dawn. From that day, songs would carry his name. Songs of storms that broke silence. Songs of a king who rose with the world. The storm had passed. The silence was gone. And on Olympus, a new light shone eternal. The age of Zeus had begun.